4, because not every seed germinates. And because I'm going to get to the germinating stages, but because not every seed germinates, you don't know what's going to grow, what's going to come up or whatever, so you just want to make sure, so you'll put about 3 or 4, because there's not a lot of space, and you just want the plant to start growing. This is more like an initial thing, because like I said, once it grows bigger, you then transplant it wherever. So you will then just scatter it around with space in between, and then you press it down, not very deep. You just press it down, or you pinch the soil over it. And then we add the water.
Is that just soil?
No, this is 50-50. So it's the
Compost
compost
and soil. Can you use any soil? Must it be black?
No, you can use any soil. Just make sure that you take out the stones. If you don't have compost, it's okay, because you can always make your own fertilizer and throw it over. But this is preferably how you need to do it. Okay, so the water you will throw in the bottom. And you'll throw till about there. And now your plant is ready. The last stage of this, basically, you have to label it. So what you will do is you'll take an old ice cream lid and you will cut it. This is now for people who can't afford builder's warehouse to buy the actual stuff, you know, because normal people, well, people who can afford it, they just buy all these things. But for us who needs to be economical and still wanting to start, because what we are trying to teach people is sustainability. So we want to teach you how to learn to use what you have around you to be sustainable, because everybody's excuse is, I don't have money. You don't need money. You just need to see what you have, identify what you have around you, and use that. And then you cut it into strips. So the strips are going to come out looking like this. You can cut, make short ones or long ones, it's up to you, whatever works for you. And keep all your strips together. Always try and make a little planting container, so everything that you need all the time, whenever you're busy, you put it in here. So you'll put your nail, your scissors, your string, your drawing pin, all these things that you need, you put it in there, and your marker. So now you will mark. It's always very important to label what you are busy planting. Label what you are planting and put the date on it, so that you can see when you started, how long it took to grow, because that will help you, especially if you want to be experimenting with something. Sometimes if you change environments of something, it could grow faster, but that's up to you if you want to do that exercise. But you always need to put the date that you started, because we also work with seasons and things grow according to seasons. That is very important. So today is the 24th, yeah. So you will say 24th of November, and this is beetroot. So you always try and write it towards the top, because it must stick out wherever you are planting it. Okay, and that is your sip. your sub-irrigation planter, and then you can just leave it and watch it grow.
Do we transplant it at any time?
Once the shoot has about 4 leaves, then you can transplant it. Or if you want to keep it growing in here, like if you want to grow herbs like coriander or something for the kitchen, you can leave it in the kitchen and you can leave it in there and just pick as you need. Then it can stay there. But if it is something big like spinach or beetroot or something, you have to transplant it into a bigger pot or cabbage or whatever. Then either you can see if it's getting too big for this container, you then move it. Otherwise, if it has at least 4 leaves, you can then transplant it into your garden or wherever you actually going to put it. Okay, any questions?
Is that only for seeds? Can you put a plant that is well established also in there?
As long as the container is big enough to keep it, to house it, you can use it for anything. That is why if you don't have any ground, this will be your option.
Okay.
But just in different sizes.
Sorry, I wasn't here at the time you put the string. Can you tell me what is the work of a string?
Okay. So the string, there's 2 actions. It basically sucks the water. So the plant, the roots, will suck the water through the string. That is called rooting. And then capillarization is where water will move up the string by itself through the gradient. So that's the 2 actions. So it basically is the medium of how the water gets into the actual soil. Now we also made holes, a few holes around. That is for aeration so that the air bubbles can come out, but also so that some water can go in when necessary. Those are the 2 actions. Now I want to talk about different types of seeding. So we showed you how to do potting. Right? Seeding is now where you focus on germination. So that is getting the plant to at least grow. This is the most difficult stage because lots of seeds are tricky. They don't always grow and you don't know if they're going to grow or not if you just put them in the ground. So you want to ensure that it's going to grow. So there's different methods that you can ensure that the seed is going to grow. Some seeds like coriander and mullein and stuff like that, they are very difficult because they have hard outer shells. So they might and they might not come out, or butternut, or those big ones with the hard covers. So they might or they might not germinate. So you want to create an environment that will ensure that it's going to germinate. You get different types. You get taping, you get egg boxes, you get toilet roll holders, and you get your 2 liter or 5 liter ice cream drums. Taping basically is, you can take roller towel or toilet roll or whatever you have, but it needs to be like tissue paper. And you will take probably about 2 layers of roller towel, and then you will fold it like that, and you will fold it again. Can everybody see? Now what you're going to do is you are going to sprinkle some water. You don't want to wet it completely, you just want a little water. Okay, now we're going to take another seed. There's some cabbage. This is cabbage. So let's take about 4 seeds. Cabbage is very small. I don't know if you can see it. The little dots. Okay. So you're gonna place it on a patch with this that's wet. And you're gonna place them apart. So about 2 fingers apart. Like that. Okay, now we're gonna water it again. Preferably do it with your hands because anything else is going to water it too much. Okay, now you fold it over where you made that fold before. Grab it again. And then you're going to fold it like that. Okay. This is called taping or tape sealing. Okay? Now, what you're going to do is you're going to label it. So preferably if you have stickers, so again you write cabbage. Date 24th November. Something that will cause a lot of moisture, a lot of warmth, humidity, that sort of the thing you want. If it's something like this, there's no ventilation. You also want a little ventilation. Take your drawing pin again and you'll just make some holes in it just for a little ventilation. So you can either label on here again or you can just keep the label in there as is, and this you will put in here and you'll leave it.
I remember there's another method also of using the scissors and like a pop or so.
Yes, at school they did that. We used cotton wool. That is also another method that is like taping. You can use that also. It just becomes a bit tricky with how to fold it or stretch it or store it or something. It's up to you, whatever you have, whatever is easier, use that. So this you'll store in a dark, warm place because you want the heat and the environment to create a greenhouse effect so that germination can happen. So after about 3 days, or at least every day you come and you check if it's moist. If it's still moist, it's fine. If it's not, you sprinkle a little more water on. And then you also check, you open it up again and you see, and you see is something growing. So normally by day 2 or day 3 you'll see a little, I don't know, stem or something coming out, or the root or something. Sometimes they both come out, sometimes the one before the other, but that's how you can see. Not all the seeds will germinate as you said, but if all of them germinate, great. So you leave it until maybe you see a little green leaf or something, and then you put it into soil or into the ground. But preferably first into something like this before the ground. The ground you always put it in last, and that's preferably when it has leaves already. Okay, that's the other thing. The next one is toilet roll holders. So you can collect your toilet roll holders, and what you're going to do is you're going to create something like this, and then you will put the soil in it. So how you will do this is you'll cut 4 strips. And then you will fold it in. And then it will make like a little container. And you make a few of this, and you get a little something, anything that will hold it. And then you make a few of that, and you put that in. You will then put soil in. All the soil. So I still have soil in here. Also, again, your 50-50% mix, but if you can't, then you will put it in here and you will label it. You can either write on here or you can put a sticker on. Again, what it is, and you put the seed inside and then you water it a little.
Okay.
And then you put it in like this. And you can then also put a label on and put it in there. So once everything is folded, it will be able to close, but these are not all folded. So then, and these already have little holes, so then it can breathe. Every day you just water it. Each little holder you water it, and then you also wait until you see a sprout or something. Now these you can put directly into the ground. Okay? And if you are planting beans, beans is the best way. The best way is to put beans in here and directly into the ground, because the beans need structure as they are growing because of their stalks. Also the birds and stuff eat it when it is at its early stages. So you also want to protect it. So any legumes you then also use this. And then you put it straight in the ground because this is biodegradable. But there mustn't be any coloring or like glossiness like that you find on the bottles. Glossiness or whatever must come off. But cardboard, paper, those types of things are biodegradable. They enrich your soil. You need to enrich your soil a lot, but I'll get to that. Okay, so this is called what? Toilet roll holders. Okay. So this is the toilet roll holder method. Okay, that's another method. See typing. And then the other method is using your egg boxes. So your egg boxes are also biodegradable. So what you will do is you will put soil into them and you put your seed in the middle and you cover it slightly and you fill all of that. Then you will label here and here and here what each one is. If all of them are the same, you just write that. If each row or each block is a different one, you then say what it is. So if the first block here is spinach, you write spinach, beetroot, cabbage, etc., etc., and you put the date. So you also water it every day, depending on how moist the soil is. And then once you see a little sprout, you can either cut this and put it in like you do with a toilet roll holder, or you can then just scoop it out using a spoon or something in the soil, and you just put it into either something like this or directly into the sand. So that is toilet roll holder. And then the 2 liters or the 5 liters, you do the same. So basically, you just put your sand in, your sand and your compost, your 50% mix. You put it in, you'll then make 5 little indentations. Can I get some soil and just wanna show this? Oh, okay. Ooh. Okay, she put pellets in here. Pellets is fertilizer. Pellets you would use if you are busy working your soil so that you can start your garden. When you are busy cleaning out your soil from the stones and whatever, you then put these little pellets in the soil, and then you put a layer of soil over it or compost over it. For a week you let it stand. Alternatively, you can then put these pellets as chicken manure, or is it the chicken one? Or which one? No.
Is it chicken? Chicken. Yeah.
Okay. So you get different types of pellets. You get chicken pellet. You get all different types. So, so these pellets you will then maybe put like a small cup in a 2 liter or 5 liter bottle with water. You'll let it stand for about a week. Opening it every time to let the gas out, because you know there's methane and all types of gas in the manure. So then that is how you make your liquid fertilizer also. That's one method. But this is another method. Okay, so thank you very much for this. So you will make it straight, and then you can either use your finger or that to make lines in it. And you will then throw your seeds, you'll sprinkle it in those lines. Okay, but remember what line is what. Because this you will normally use if you want to germinate different types all at once. So for example, if the first one is cabbage, so you'll just sprinkle a whole lot of cabbage seeds randomly in there, and you'll pinch it close. Okay? And then you'll sprinkle your broccoli, and then you'll sprinkle your carrots. Well, carrots preferably put straight in the ground, but again, it's up to you where you want to grow it. Your onions, and then maybe spinach, and then you label it again. And then you will put the label. Once you've pinched it closed, you will then put the label where that row is. So each row will have a label. Okay, and so remember, always write towards the top, because the bottom must be open so that it can go in the ground. And that's basically how you do different types of seeding. Any questions? Now when you talk about actual planting.
I want to ask one question. You see, in this area, there's holes. What, like if you grow vegetables, what vegetables do they don't like?
Unfortunately, molds like always.
Like onions? I don't see
Onions could keep them away, leeks could keep them away, but these days we find that the animals have they GMO now. They've morphed, they've become resistant, you know. So nothing keeps them back anymore, unfortunately. You must not look for the signs of when you see a mole and try and
Mud.
But unfortunately, we can't do much about that.
We got the method of the piping. Pipe. You see the canvas pipe or the sewage or that thin water pipe. Now you put it deep in the ground and you put like make almost like a windmill thingy. You take the part of this and then you cut it into strips. Then you close it up like this. Cut it in strips. Put a nail in it, and you nail it to that pipe. Now the vibration of the wind blowing that thingy. Now it actually prevents the ball from coming. Yeah, it's like vibration that goes through. They don't like people moving. They don't like the movement. So what they do, when they hear that vibration of the windmill, the plastic thing, and then they just scatter.
I've
They
never
go.
heard that before.
Yeah,
Wow, that's amazing. Because I know the piping that the old school is where you put the hose pipe in and you sort of like flush
That doesn't work anymore.
anymore. Exactly,
I
that's what I say.
doesn't.
Like almost nothing works with them anymore, but that's a good one. Now, vibrations are also important. For example, if you want to attract earthworms really make your soil very nutritious. You can also do worm farming if you collect the worms, because their manure, it's called black gold, and you can sell it for so much, like 1 liter of that you can sell for 100 rand or more, because you would dilute that 10 mils into 1 liter, and then that's fertilizer. But it's filled with so much nutrients that the plants thrive. Like that is almost the best type of fertilizer you can get is worm farming fertilizer. So how you attract the worms is also like through a vibrational method. So you will take like a stick and you make little grooves in the stick, and then you'll take another stick and you'll do something like that. And then that sound and vibration will attract all the earthworms from the ground to the top. And then you just pick them and collect them or put them in your soil or whatever. So that is also how you can attract earthworms. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is trench, like the actual planting in the ground. Because now we've covered seeding, now we're going into actual planting. So there are different ways that you can actually plant in the ground. The one is called a trench bed. This is the most common that people use. That is where you dig a hole basically, and then the hole normally, the ideal size is 2 meters by 1 meter, and you go 500, you go half a meter deep basically. So you dig this hole, and then you take cardboard, newspaper, anything like that, and you layer the hole. Because now you're going to build your soil. Because remember I said soil is very important, nutritious soil. Because if your soil has no nutrients in it, your vegetables are going to have no nutrients in it. And unfortunately that is the case today with our vegetables that you find in the shops, because they have killed the soil. You know, the Bible says you need to let your land lay every 7 years. They don't do that anymore. You let it lay so it can regenerate the soil nutrients. They don't do that anymore, so with the result that the soil is so depleted of all the nutrients and minerals that it needs, not only to enrich the soil, but to enrich the vegetables and stuff growing in the soil. So the main thing is you need to focus on your soil health before you even want to start an actual garden. Because what's the point? You are planting, but you're planting in dull soil, and then your vegetables is just, it's going to be there, but it's not going to be nutritious for your body. And the aim of planting on vegetables is to have organic, nutritious vegetables and food that will keep you healthy. And in order to do God's work, we need to be healthy, we need to be at the optimum. So we need to eat very nutritious food. And the best way is to grow your own or buy organically grown vegetables using completely natural methods, no pesticides, no stuff like that. Just completely natural. So that is the best way. So how you start that is you use cardboard boxes because they are biodegradable, as I said, and newspaper. But it needs to be the normal newspaper, not the one with the glossy cover with a color. That is, the ink in there is going to go into the soil and that's going to cause damage. So whatever boxes you're going to use, even if it's wheat pig boxes, cereal boxes, whatever, first pull that glossy strips off before you use it. And then the actual box itself you can then use, because those will then disintegrate in the soil and enrich the soil. Because anything that is biodegradable will only enrich the soil. Then you do this is called the lasagna layering technique. So you first layer out the trench, then you put down a layer of tins. So the tin has iron in it, and that iron also enriches the soil. Obviously you wash it out, you take off all the wrappings and whatever. The tins that you, from the food that you like your tuna tins and your bean tins and those tins. So you just throw that also in, because over time they also break down and enrich the soil with the iron and other minerals that the tins also have. And you mix egg boxes, toilet roll holders and eggshells in between those tins also. Okay? Then after that you will put a layer of brown leaves, sticks, anything that's brown that you can find. You put that down. Again, it must be biodegradable stuff. Then you put a layer of green. So green grass, green leaves, green whatever. You put that down. Vegetable scraps, green. It's green, you put that down. And you put another layer of brown and another layer of green. Then you put this thin layer of compost. Then you put your soil on top. Either the soil that you dug out, and if that's not full of sand or stone, sand. If that's not full of stones or glass or anything like that, you can then put it on as is. But if there is a lot of sand, stones and glass, you then have to sift it like we mentioned earlier, and then you put that over. Otherwise, you can then buy potting soil and throw that over. You can then plant the seedlings, because now they already have leaves, about 4 leaves or more. And you plant that, and there's how you start your garden. But obviously when you start your garden, you plant it in rows like we did here. So you plant your things that will sort of ward off all your pests. So your onions, your leeks and so on, you plant on the edges along with marigolds, because marigolds also are a deterrent for pests, aphids and those types of things. And then you will do a row of leafy vegetables, and then a row of root vegetables, and then a row of cruciferous vegetables, and so on and so on. So that's how you then plant in rows. And each different type of vegetable needs different spacing. So that's another workshop for another day. The second type is called the no dig or lazy garden. So that is basically if you just want to plant anywhere, take a piece of cardboard and then just throw it down here, and then you can either do that lasagna layering on top of the cardboard as is and just cover it with your soil, or you can just put soil and compost down and then plant, and then maybe put a border of stones or something around it. That will also work. I tried both. So I've got 2 little gardens in the yard, and the one was a trench garden and the other one was a no-dig garden, and they both flourished beautifully. Obviously the no-dig flourished first, because it didn't have to decompose all the stuff. But I know as time goes by, my other garden is going to be more enriched because of all the things that we put in there that will nutrify the soil. So the next type is raised beds, and this is what most people do. You can either like put it on stones, concrete, planter boxes, those types of things that are sort of elevated from the ground, because it's also easier to, water and check and whatever, because you don't want to be bending all the time. So that is another way that you can do it, and you again just do the layering method also, or you just do the 50% compost, 50% soil. And then the other one is your container gardening. So if you don't have any space, but you want to start your garden, you use any types of containers. It can be tires, it can be bathtubs, old toilets, old cupboards, anything that you can find that will hold something. That is what you can use as a container, and obviously your bottles, which is what most people do. When you can't afford to buy the bigger stuff, you also get planter boxes and so on, but those are the different types of container boxes that you can use. Now, any questions? Now, different types of watering techniques. Now we've gone through all the different types of gardening techniques, seeding techniques and so on. Now your plants have grown, or they're at the stage where they are busy shooting or something. Obviously your original type is with a hose. If you don't have a hose pipe, you have a watering can. You can make your own watering can by taking maybe a square bottle or something, and you cut off the top, and you take a stick and you make little holes on the side, and you put the stick through, and then underneath you will make holes, as many holes as possible, and then you throw the water in there and you spray it over that. That's a very cost effective way to, or watering can, so to say. Other ways are, you can take a big 5 liter or like whatever size drum you can find, and you put it at the beginning of your garden, and then you can get maybe like a old hose pipe or something, and you make little holes in it, and then you lay it in between your vegetables, and that will also do like a drip irrigation type of thing. And you obviously close the edge of the hose pipe. That's another one. Another one is the sip irrigation method that we showed you, with the wicking and the capillarization. Another one is if you are doing a trench garden, what you will do is, and what you should do is, when you are busy working the soil before you plant your seedlings in, you will take two 2-liter bottles, you will make holes at the bottom and all around for about here, and you make a hole in the ground, and only this top part must stick out. And then every time you water your garden, you fill this up, and automatically this will then seep into the roots, which also then helps the root crops, because sometimes the water on top doesn't get to the bottom for the root crops to grow. So your root crops are your onions, your carrots and so on. That is another method. And then another method is where you can do something similar to this. So you have your water bottle here, and you can take foil and you put foil down, and you take roller towel and you roll it up, and then you roll the foil over the roller towel, and you put it in a hole here, and then the water will then go through. That's also capillarization, and it will drip. drip, drip at the edge of the soil. So those are different watering techniques. Another one is you take a 500 ml bottle and 2 sticks, and then you turn this upside down and you put the 2 sticks here like that, in the ground. Then here you'll make a hole and you'll put an earbud in, and then the earbud will drip the water constantly, gently, all the time. It will take a lot longer than that method, but that is also how to, if you're not at home or whatever for a long period of time, to ensure that there is constant water. That is also another method. And then different types of pest control. So now your plants are growing, and now you have to deal with a whole new problem of pests, because they eat your leaves and they just demolish your vegetables like crazy. So what you can use is neem oil. Neem oil is a natural pesticide. So you can mix that in some water and then spray it. So you can use another watering can method is if you just make holes in the top here and then you squeeze, it will then spray out. That's another method. So that you can use for when you are spraying your herbicide, so to say. So if you put like a little, like 10 ml of neem oil and the rest is water, shake it, spray. Another pesticide that you can make is you take the tips when you are busy cooking and you cut off the edge of an onion or the garlic. Those tips you put in water with some cayenne pepper and you let it stand for 3 days to a week. Once it's ready, you then spray that out and you put a little either fish oil or a little sunlight liquid. If you don't have that, you grate a little sunlight soap and you put a little and you mix that with a little water, and that mixture you put in there because you want the pesticide that you made to stick onto the leaves. So that oil or that soap will help the mixture that you made stay on the leaves, so that if there's dew or rain or you're watering again, it's not going to come off, it's going to stay on there, so that you only need to then do this like every 3 days or something. So that is also how you can do pest control. The other one is, so eggs, you crush it, you will crush it like this, as fine as possible. So remember that eggs has lots of calcium in it and other nutrients that is really important for soil health. So it does nutrify the soil, but also in this form it acts as a deterrent for snails and slugs and some other animals. So what you will do is you'll take it and you'll sprinkle it either around the stem of the plant or all over the soil, and that should also act as a deterrent for the pests.
Tea bags. You use tea bags as well.
You can, but they're finding that the animals is becoming resistant to it, unfortunately. Another one that you can use is Artemisia afra or Alvalda als. Wormwood, many different names for it. So that you also just soak in water for a few days, 3 to 5 days, and then you also spray that on there. It's also a natural pesticide. And that's it for today.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Snails. Snails is to me that you can't get rid of. Snails come to the room and it destroys everything. We tried to make it rid, but now the net takes a net or it comes over, and we're not allowed to make a structure of a net. You know what I mean? You can't make a structure with a
So
net.
I'm going to tell you something that I didn't say it. Okay.
So must I stop the recording?
Stop recording.